All right. We are live. What's going on, everybody? This is Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist. And today we're going to talk about magazines. A lot of my friends own magazines, and I've been looked at as a person that's been in the space for a while because I founded my own magazine 6 years ago. Shift Advanced Life Design. Bam, here we go. Yep, there it is. There's Marshall Taryn. So today in this training, I'm going to talk about up-leveling the aesthetics of your magazine. I'm going to talk about covers. I'm going to talk about distribution, observations and patterns in the magazine itself, monetization, how to attract celebrities, and then how to use your analytics to get more, how to get more bang for your advertising buck and your inbound sponsorships. We got Zach, got Jared. What's up, guys? So even if you don't own a magazine, believe it or not, a lot of these strategies bleed over if you're a podcaster, if you have a blog, if you have, especially the distro and monetization, bleeds over to any media platform you might have, even if you're just doing like Facebook Lives or interviews, stuff like that. Okay, and if you have questions about anything I'm talking about, feel free to pop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. So let's get to it. I don't like to waste time. So as you guys know, 6 years ago, I founded Shift Advanced Life Design magazine. I had zero experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just asked a single question. I said, what would it be like if Tim Ferriss started a magazine? Like some thought leader, that's who I think of myself as, is Tim Ferriss for veterans, right? Started a magazine, deconstructed people's processes, found out how they're so good at what they do. And the idea of Shift Advanced Life Design was born. I did my own layouts. I did my own covers. I did most of the articles for the first probably 3-4 issues, and the quality was super, super low. Like it just was. It wasn't a great looking magazine. The covers were super bad. I'm surprised Mike McAllowitz still talks to me after the god awful cover I made for him. So aesthetics are very important for your magazine. It's the first thing you need to think about. And there are a few types of aesthetics in the magazine game. So the first one, obviously, is the cover. It is the impression that people have of your magazine. So you need to have a nice logo. You need high-res photography. You need a cover person. Trust me. The cover is the most important part of the magazine because it's what captures the reader's eye. And it's, as far as like your marketing, your branding, everything, cover is very, very important. When we talk about the aesthetics of your magazine, there's 3 things to really pay attention to: the cover, the interior layout and design, and then the website that the magazine's hosted on. So Shift Magazine has a hosting site called Joomag, Joomag, and there's a few of them that are free. And what a hosting site does is lets you upload the PDF that you've made, and then in Joomag's case, it actually does a flipping. If you have a digital version, which is kind of cool, it makes a little flipping noise, all that shit. It looks really, really good. So the aesthetics of your magazine, right out the gate, you need really high quality. Lori McNeil just launched her magazine, and it looks gorgeous, but Lori is really, really into her branding, and she's very good at what she does. Her magazine looks incredible. You can also, you need to start thinking about whether you're going to do digital or print right out the gate. My biggest mistake is that I didn't format for printing for a long time because I was too ignorant to the magazine industry to understand like margins, bleed, that the design actually starts in Canva where you pick the actual settings. And Garrison Fletcher, God bless him, took the time and explained it to me like 8 times. And then he had to send a diagram, right? I have a learning disability. Like some things I have a really hard time grasping. But once I figured this out, I was able to format the magazine forever very easily so that we can now have print editions. And it changed the game. Because if we feature Kyle Wentworth, if we feature Jared Ledbetter, if we feature Zach, whoever, we can now print out a couple of editions and just send it to them, or we can upload it to Lulu and have it as a purchasable asset, okay? So right out the gate in the early stages of your magazine, start thinking about Are we going to do print? Are we going to do digital? Are we going to pay for subscribers? Like, are they going to pay us? Right? Shift has been free the entire time I've owned it. Nobody has ever paid to read the digital edition of Shift. And that's the model I'm going to keep. Print edition, yeah, we're still working on some strategies for print. So anyway, figure out your format. And if you're on a budget, just start off digital. It's easy. There's no overhead. It's just time. Covers. Unless you are graphic designer level, do not do your own covers. I brought in Rich Hill, and God bless him. The guy is incredible at covers, and that's the biggest compliment that I ever get is, dude, that cover looks amazing, because Rich has this really good eye for blending color and backgrounds and the logo, and he's done a couple different formats. But he's done an incredible job. Thank you, Rich. Honestly, you made Shift what it is today, and I really love working with you. So now we talked about aesthetics and the types of magazines. Next thing you want to think about is the distro. And this is where a lot of podcasters get messed up, and a lot of people that have media platforms that never really take off because they don't make a distro strategy. Distro just means what happens after you release the magazine or release a podcast, right? Most people release the magazine and then they put it on social media a little bit, and that's it. Like, they don't really think about it on a bigger scale. Like, how do I get way more people seeing this, right? And thank God I have like superpowers because I do PR visibility. So when I release an issue, I can now write articles against it. I can now issue press releases against it. I can now I can do a live stream like I'm doing now to 8 different places, hold up the issue and say, hey guys, check this out. This is where you read it, blah, blah, blah. So the point is I can drive traffic a lot better than I used to be able to. And I can even like take out paid ads for Nextdoor or Facebook or whatever and get the distro up that way. And I'm going to be trying some new strategies very, very soon. You need a distro plan for your magazine, okay? Otherwise, it's dead in the water. Why do we need distro? Because distro leads to views. Views lead to advertising rates. Because, and we're gonna get to analytics here in a little bit, but analytics power everything. Because unfortunately, when advertisers and sponsors come to you, the very first question they're going to ask is, how many views do you guys get a month? You know, what's your demographic? What's your readership? Where are people picking this up? And you need to have those answers. So we'll get to analytics in a bit. After you've been in the magazine for a little while, it's important to look for patterns and observations. And I had a very uncomfortable conversation with somebody that changed the way that I do business. It was great that they spoke up because she flat out just said, I'm looking through all your magazines you put out. Why are there only white guys on the cover? Well, holy shit, I'd never even thought of that, right? And she had a good point. Diversity, inclusion, equity, all that stuff is very controversial, obviously. Some people like it, some don't. Some people feel it's patronizing. Some people feel it obfuscates merit-based achievement. But she had a point. And I went back, I looked at all my covers, I'm like, holy shit. I'm only mostly interviewing special ops people, which are white males. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Some authors, and it was never anything that was deliberate. It was more just the people that are closest in my orbit. And it was never anything like on purpose. You know, I don't want to exclude anybody, but that conversation actually made me start thinking, okay, I need to include more diverse business owners that are high achievers. I need to include more women. I need to include more people of color. I need to include more, you know, LGBTQ. Like just, I need to have something that's a lot more diversified because the world is a diverse place. And maybe I was subconsciously like just picking white dudes because they're the closest people in my social media and my periphery as a, you know, half white dude. I don't know. You know, there's reasons for this stuff. But the point is the conversation helped me to recognize patterns and help me to adjust and course correct. And so, not necessarily, Jared, not necessarily. It just means open up the pool. I still have a certain standard for who, you know, gets picked for covers. They have to have like a certain level of achievement. They have to have a certain background. They can't like be, you know, they can't be hostile to women. They can't like be a guru. They can't be a scammer. Like there's all these things, right? There has to be ethics involved. But it did lead to one of the greatest covers we ever did, Lauren Michaels Harris. And we did a really bright cover because Lauren is, you know, openly gay veteran global speaker, entrepreneur, and he planned out this cover for like 9 months. He actually flew out of state to do a photo shoot so that he could send me this amazing photo. And the photos, all of them were incredible. I'm really proud of this issue, and it's because it reflects the diversity in entrepreneurship, and that we do need to celebrate, like, a wider swath of people. And we even issued a press release against it. It was a fucking great issue. And then I started focusing on bringing in more women that were really high achievers in business and coaching. We had Jillian Sandoval, we had Yesenia Vasquez Rosa, we've had Charlinda Scales from Mutt Sauce. We had all kinds of very accomplished women on the cover. So, like I said, if you look for your observations, you listen to what your audience tells you. You don't have to take every single suggestion. And that brings me to another good point. Don't listen to people that don't have magazines. Like, don't listen unless it's a really high-end observation. You don't have to listen to every piece of advice you get from people, and especially if they haven't done what you're doing, right? Because they're just opinions, not based on anything that's really tangible. So just be careful, because you're going to get a lot of bad advice. You will. People at the very beginning told me not to bother with the magazine. They said it was stupid, nobody would read it, never make any money on it, or waste a lot of time. Well, they were wrong. I've made tens of thousands of dollars with the magazine. I've been able to interview celebrities that I would never have access to. Normally, 1 year, I got $5,000 worth of VIP event tickets to like 3 different events just for coverage, just for covering an event, right? The magazine has opened doors that I wouldn't be able to open on my own. So it was a great asset, and everybody that told me not to do it, they were wrong. All right. And Ryan says, listen doesn't mean you have to follow the advice. Feedback is so key. Yeah. And Ryan, I know you started a magazine really recently too. So I'm doing this training for you and for Lori McNeil and for Laura Candewan and Christine Wilkinson. Although I don't need to give Christine any advice. She's spectacular at what she does. She does At Ease magazine. All right, so let's talk monetization. How do we make money with the magazine? Now, there's a couple ways. You can make it a subscriber-based platform to where you do like, $5 a month. You can do advertising. You can do long-term sponsor deals, like 3 months at a time. You can do, let's see. You can have specialized feature packages, so pay to play. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want you to feature my business, blah, blah, blah. There's probably 5 to 7 ways of monetization with a magazine. And then just like a podcast, you can sell an extended distro package, or you can sell a media package. So let's say somebody comes to me, right? And they say, okay, I want to not only have an article, I want to have more distribution, and I want a media package. And if you guys haven't done this, do this. Have these ready, okay? So I'm just spitballing here. Let's throw this out. So let's say they pay you a fee to be featured in the magazine, but then you print up one of these bad boys for like $30 of their cover, and you have it shipped to them. Then you send out like 5 printed copies for their office. So as you can see, you can have an entire media promotion package that you can charge a couple $100 for. You can go nuts. You can have their cover as a poster. You can have their cover as like, mini cards, laminates, whatever. Creativity is up to you. You can have everything printed on Vistaprint. You can have their cover made in a freaking coffee mug, right? So these are all ideas for up-leveling how much you're monetizing your magazine. Now, the next question that comes up a lot of times is, who do I decide to charge, and who do I extend free coverage to? And I get this sometimes because, some people are salty and they're like, well, everyone just pays for your magazine. Why aren't you hooking up veterans, bro? I get these dumb comments, and honestly, from people that aren't in the business, so I don't care. You do need to have some type of standard, especially for the cover. Traditionally, like my covers, I either know the person and I'm really a fan of what they're doing, I'm not one of those snobs that just interviews millionaires. There are a lot of people out there who just give credence to millionaires and like really, really rich people. Sometimes it's just a person that has a great company. Sometimes it's a person that's got an amazing story. Sometimes it's a person that they don't have to have all the money in the world, but I can reach out to them and I can either give them a discounted cover or I'll just, run the story for several reasons. So it's really up to it's really up to your editorial staff and what the team decides or what you decide if you're the owner, who gets free coverage and who doesn't. Most people I charge. Now, here's the next thing. How do you convince people to buy coverage in your magazine or advertisers if you don't have a giant distribution or a giant audience? This is the tricky part. Shift Magazine does not have an enormous audience. It doesn't. I'm always very, very candid about this because I have nothing to hide. We get a couple hundred views per issue, on average. But I've never really applied a full visibility distro plan to Shift either. Okay. Once again, something on the horizon I'm working on to upgrade the company. So if you have a small audience and an advertiser or sponsor is like, well, we like it, but we don't feel like it's going to make sales. We don't feel like it's going to have like a giant audience. You let them know that your distro plan, even though you don't have a ton of views, your distro plan's solid and that you can help sell. So for example, somebody comes to me and wants to work with me. I'm going to issue a press release against their company, right? So now they have nationwide coverage. They're hosted on Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC. I'm going to write side articles about their company. I'm going to make social media announcements. Hey, Doug Barry's Jasper the Rabbit books featured in Shift Magazine, right? And I'll pop that in a LinkedIn carousel. So you can use social media to increase the distro of the article and drive traffic to the company to make sales, even if your magazine doesn't have a big audience. So when people come to me and they work with me and they want to be in Shift, even though there's not a giant audience, they get a good amount of traffic because I'm out here behind the scenes promoting their stuff and everything else I do. So Shift is just a small part of it. And here's the awesome part. With your magazine, even if it's a newer magazine, you don't have a giant audience, it's the first brick in a foundation of visibility. Ted Fox will tell you that he came to me a year ago, and I think he paid me like $800. His first interview was in Shift. This led to an article I wrote about him that went viral. That led to a press release I wrote about him that got him 7 radio interviews. Then people started calling him because of the press release all around the country to his garage in Texas because they saw the press release. Ted got all this business. He's got a pending deal with General Motors to be a distributor for them for life, which is probably going to set him up pretty nice. And he had a $60,000 order sitting in his inbox. And it all started with Shift Magazine. So understand, if you're a magazine owner, don't be intimidated by having a small audience. Work on your connection with the fans. Work on slow growth. Work on your distro plan. Everything works out in the end. And if some sponsor or advertiser is just sniffing for large audience publications and doesn't like your stuff, let them go. Laugh at them later. When you blow somebody's business up and get them all these views and you do the stuff behind the scenes to cause great results, tag them in it. let them see what they missed out on. And if they come back to you, raise your rates. Oh yeah, I'm vindictive, because when people come to me and they just have the Instagram model in their mind of hiring, or paying for advertising in these large number, companies or influencers or whatever, they're chasing the wrong thing. They're chasing the number. They're not chasing actual sales. So that's why I get really irritated when people ask me like, well, what's your readership? What's your viewership? Because the numbers don't matter. I'll tell you right now, anybody that's paying for like coverage in Entrepreneur or Forbes or Business online, they're being ripped off, flat out. If you're paying an influencer that's got like 1.5 million followers on Instagram, you're paying to be seen by bots, right? This is the big ugly secret nobody wants to talk about. All right, so we covered monetization. Now, one tip for your magazine, good one, celebrities. How do we get celebrities interviewed in the magazine? I flat out have a list. I reach out on Twitter, or I reach out to their management team, their email, whatever. offer them an interview, tell them about the distro, tell them where it goes, personalized compliment, and I have a very, very high amount of yeses. This is how I've been able to interview people from reality TV, people that are, you know, New York Times bestselling authors. I'm not talking Amazon bestselling author. I'm talking New York Times bestselling author. All kinds of interesting celebrities, because I just put a strong pitch. I reach out and I have no fear. As a magazine owner, even if you're brand new with 20 people reading each issue, reach out to people like you run Cosmo. Never lie, never embellish, be honest in your stuff, and be enthusiastic. That's it, right? I got a celebrity interview my second issue because I had the courage to call up the guy's office and ask him, hey, we'd love to feature you. You know, love to tell your story, promote your projects, whatever. Do you want to be a part of this? And he gave me one of the best interviews I've ever had. All right, next. How do you measure the value of your company? Because although I hate people that are analytics shopping, you do need the numbers flat out. So here's some metrics you can use to gauge the health of your magazine, the readership, because obviously the more people you have viewing it that are organic, I'm not talking paid bots and stupid shit like that. The more people you have viewing it, the higher the numbers, obviously the higher you can charge for advertising. That's just the name of the game. That's why Super Bowl commercials are, you know, 1.5 million or whatever for 30 seconds, whatever crazy amount they are, because they know it's a guaranteed audience, right? So the analytics can be this. It can be actual views of the magazine. It can be visits to the magazine's Facebook business page. It can be visits to the magazine hosting sites, views, and then social media metrics, likes, you know, stuff like that. Readership, people on the subscription list. Like Shift goes out to like 1,000 people on the email list, so that's significant. So all these things can be metrics and analytics for value. And if you're just starting off, everyone uses the Joe Rogan model, and they shoot themselves in the foot because they say stupid stuff like, oh, I don't have Joe Rogan numbers. Nobody's going to want to buy advertising. Nobody's going to want to be a sponsor. Bullshit. I have 4 sponsors right now. Some pay me in product, some pay me in money. I have 4 sponsors right now. I don't even have a podcast. I have a magazine, but I'm just a good promoter, right? Be confident in your product. Be confident in your magazine, even if you're just starting off. All people can say is no. Who gives a shit? So anyway, that's about the best advice I can give you guys for the magazine stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always very open to talking about what's worked in Shift and what hasn't. And thanks so much for checking out my stuff. Hope you guys have a great day. It's Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist. Thanks to Jared and Ryan and Zach and Kyle. I will talk to you guys soon. As always, stay famous.